Hello and welcome to Quick Take TA here on Landy's Crypto Corner. I am Landy, your host, and we are looking at Bitcoin today on the daily. We will look at some other time frames though. And we are going to first follow up with where we left off in the last Quick Take TA video. And that was recorded when Bitcoin had just put in this candle here on Tuesday, where it dipped down below the November of 2021 monthly swing high or all-time high there at 69K. And I had mentioned that if Bitcoin did start closing any higher term timeframes like a daily down below that wick low at 68,200 and or closed below this open here from Sunday, which came in at 68,900, excuse my voice here, that we would see a confirmed drive of hidden, or not hidden bearish divergence, regular bearish divergence from within this range, targeting somewhere around the last higher low at somewhere like 65.5 to the April of 2021 monthly swing high at $65,000. If that area broke down below there, we would need to watch that higher low swing at 64,500. And if we did start to see price breakdown from that area, then we start working our way through the subsequent higher lows all the way into this monthly at 61,350 to 58.8. Now, Bitcoin did avoid that particular bearish divergence drive so far, and it is getting compression here on the daily. So how would it get expansion? The expansion phase would kick off if Bitcoin started to close any daily candles back above the upper second standard deviation. Now, that is currently at 72,500, but it does need to meet additional criteria in order to move to the upside in an expansive manner. It does need to close above this last swing high or wick high at around 72,800, and it then needs to take out the all-time high here at 73,835 in order to get that expansive move to the upside. To the downside, if Bitcoin does start closing below the lower second standard deviation, somewhere around 66 to 66,150, then we would be looking at expansion, but right into a support area here by this higher low at around that $65,000 region. If that area did break down, and then of course we saw a close below 64,500, then we would be looking for expansion down to this close open here at the previous higher low in comparison to this one here that was put in around, well, it was confirmed on the 4th, but we'd be looking around 63.8 to the wick low there at around 62,250 to 62.5. And then if that area was lost, we start looking back to the monthly closing all-time high zone between 61,350 and 58.8. Now, if Bitcoin does decide to take the upside route, there is a fib that can be pulled from swing high to swing low within the local range here that can give us some upside targets. Now, of course, Bitcoin needs to get above the all-time high and of course this upper third standard deviation in order to get that upside expansion. And then in general, I'd be looking at a range above there from around $75,000 to the 1272 here that's coming in just shy of $78,000. If we did start to see daily closures above there or meaningful timeframes like a 4, 6, or 12 hour above there, then we can start targeting somewhere around $80,000 by the 1414. And then, of course, above there, and we start looking to the low or mid to low 80s at the 1618 at around 83,000 to the 1786 up here. Now, this is coming in at around 86,000. So basically mid to low 80s above the $78,000 region and $80,000 region, respectively, between the 1272 and the 1414. Then we can start looking in that mid to low 80s, maybe even more after that. But as it stands right now, Bitcoin is getting compression on the daily, and it did avoid that bearish divergence, as I had mentioned earlier. When looking at daily stoke or daily momentum, we can see that it is still pointed to the upside here, and that pivot is now at 69,950 or so. So basically $70,000. Bitcoin needs to continue closing daily candles above here to preserve this upside momentum shift. And, you know, it can flip-flop around. Bitcoin's in a compression. This is not the leading indicator. Momentum should never be your leading indicator. It's trend, support and resistance, and volatility that create momentum. So in this case, we have a compression, we have higher low structure. Some people are calling out the triangle, which is literally just higher low structure with equal highs, or relatively equal highs in this case. And then kind of go from there. If this last wick low is taken out on the daily, so if Bitcoin does take out $69,000 and the daily basis band, which is coming in right around there at 69,300, and then subsequently start closing below the lower first and lose this wick low coming in at around 67,500 or so, 67,450, then we can start looking to that lower second around 66, 1 to 150, and then subsequently 65K, and then watch it closely from there around this previous higher low. That really is only relevant if we start seeing 4 or 6 hour candles start closing below around 67,450 to 67.5. Then I would be on the lookout for the daily to possibly close below there, and then we can start marking down to some of the lower areas into $65,000 and then watch that 64,500. But as it stands right now, nice topside consolidation. And we have another time frame that's actually very important that I want to look at here, and that is the 2-day, because we're also seeing a very nice compression here on the 2-day. We had beautiful expansion to the upside to make new all-time highs here, and now we are seeing compression. And the compression, of course, is the result of this sideways consolidation. Now, if Bitcoin is going to break out to the upside relative to the 2-day, it's relatively the same areas that I just talked about on the daily. Close above the upper second standard deviation, and we would start to see expansion kick off, but it still needs to meet the conditions laid out on the daily, and that is a closure above this last swing high at around that 72,800, and then of course taking out the all-time high wick here at 73,835. Then above there, we can start looking to 75 to 78, 78 to 80, and then 80 to the mid-low $80,000 region, possibly more. And on the other side of that, if Bitcoin did start to break down to the $65,000 region, we really do need to be aware of this wick low at 64,500, because you can see it's coming right in line with that lower second standard deviation on the 2-day chart now. If that area was closed below on the next 2-day closure, kicking off expansion and breaking down from this higher low wick, then we would have to start looking down to, in general, the same areas that I talked about on the daily at 63,800 to this last swing actually from the 2-day perspective, which is right into that monthly zone at 61,350 to 58,800. So pretty simple, not a difficult setup. Let's take a look at momentum on the 2-day, and we can see that it is shifted to the upside. Now, this is not a particularly strong signal, but in the next 2-day closure, if we do see closes above 66,831.42, well, you can see the projection here that we would get a much stronger signal indicating that pressure is on to the upside. Now, of course, Bitcoin's in a consolidation and a nice compression here on the 2-day time frame. I do also want to call out that because we have higher low structure here on the 2-day and lower low structure on the RSI here, in addition to, I just noticed this, in addition to a cross back to the upside or a cross over the moving average right back into the bullish control zone on RSI, we do have another drive of hidden bullish divergence. So this is probably, if Bitcoin can hold around the daily $70,000 area, definitely holding above the 2-day pivot there on momentum and the last higher low, this is looking as though it wants to result in a nice upside move. At minimum to swing the all-time high area, maybe even into that 75 to $78,000 region that we spoke of earlier. This is looking beautiful. I love these types of setups. The compression to expansion, above the upper second standard deviation and the all-time high, it's blue skies, right? But any kind of expansion down below the lower second and that $65,000 area, of course, this wick low being at 64,500 would kick it off to the downside, but it's right into support. And then we would have to evaluate from there. If that support doesn't hold up, of course, one of the main areas I'm looking at to the downside on any further expansion past 58.8 on like a 2-day time frame or even a daily, I would generally be looking for, if it didn't dip down and just come right back in, I would be looking for Bitcoin to test much further down into around $53,000 at this September of 2021 weekly swing high that we saw here in 2024 get tested and rejected. But we saw a nice consolidation around the weekly closes there from August and December of 2021, coming in at roughly 50,000 to 51.8. So that would be the big area to the downside. Of course, Bitcoin's trading above $69,000, looking very strong right now, and it's in a position to possibly confirm in the next 2-day candle coming in. I believe this is going to close on, we're in Friday's candle, right? Let me take a look. Yeah, it's Friday's candle. I'm all mixed up. I'm very tired and not feeling great right now. I apologize for my voice and stuff. But yeah, we're in Friday's candle. So this is going to close on Saturday with Saturday's daily candle. So that's going to be something to watch. And of course, I will discuss this in tomorrow's live stream. I will be live streaming tomorrow. I know I skipped on Wednesday, but I will be back tomorrow with a live stream to chat with everyone and kind of review what I talked about in this video. So you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that said, Landy out.